So today I'm joined by Eva Wong. Eva, would you mind introducing yourself a little bit?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. So let me give you a little bit of background. So I grew up in an ethnic neighborhood in Los Angeles. My parents did not speak much English, and I spoke Chinese until kindergarten, and I learned to speak English when in school. I've lived in Los Angeles for all my life, and I speak Cantonese, a village dialect, and English.
Wow. And could you tell us about your current job right now?
So right now I'm a project coordinator with an engineering firm, and it's an administrative position which involves heavy file management, research, working with legal documents, scheduling appointments and equipment, and coordinating travel and making sure that the people have what they need when they're out in the field or when they're making court appearances. My position also requires great attention to detail, as well as written and verbal communications between our engineers and our clients, who are mainly insurance companies and attorneys.
Wow. So you're essentially the liaison between both parties, is that correct?
Yes,
Wow.
and it can get interesting sometimes, but it's a lot of fun, and I love what I'm doing.
Yeah, you seem really passionate about it, which is why I wanted to interview you. Another thing is, having these kinds of organizational skills, being so detailed oriented, did that always come naturally, or did you have, prior work experience in different jobs that prepared you for this?
Well, a lot of what I did in the past prepared me for where I am now. If I didn't learn the skills that I had obtained through my various employment, then I probably would not be as successful as I am now.
Could you give us kind of like a preview of some different jobs? Because, I always stress to my students, even if something is your end goal, sometimes the trajectory or the path to get to that goal isn't always a straight path. Sometimes you have to take a detour, take this job because of financial reasons and such, and then you kind of like weave your way to get there. So
Funny
for
you say that. So when I was young, I always wanted to be a nurse. But my only problem is that I'd pass out when I saw blood. So that wasn't as I got older, I wanted to go into criminal justice and investigations and research, but my mom wasn't very happy with that. So I eventually ended up with a degree in business with a specialty in marketing and public relations, because I wanted to go into transportation or international business. Over the years, I started out working in retail sales for a small family business in Los Angeles. The employees did not speak English. I did not speak Cantonese, so it was very challenging, but we were able to learn from each other. So that was great. I also worked in customer service, billing, and sales for a medical laboratory. I did import-export for an international shipping company. I've worked with commodities such as fireworks, shoes, toys, and electronics.
Wow.
So from there, I went to an international transportation company. I started out as a customer service representative, and eventually I worked my way up to becoming a logistics analyst, overseeing 17 locations in 4 states. And I was with that company for many years until my position was moved to a different state. I was not about to go, so I had to look for another job. And during my job search, I ended up at a pediatric clinic in Los Angeles, working with records management. So from there, then things happened, and now I'm at my current position as a project coordinator for an engineering firm.
Wow, so you have the best of both worlds, because one thing we're really working on in this class is developing those like soft skills, people skills, the interpersonal skills. And from your job history, it seems like you've had a lot of exposure. So one thing we've talked about in our class are like different kinds of personalities, work personalities.
Yes.
And, sometimes people can be very timid or shy. I confess to my students that outside of the class, like I can be more introverted, more quiet, but I realized being social is a skill that it requires practice and time and effort to, you know, to strengthen and to kind of master. For you, did you have any issues like developing these kind of people skills earlier on?
It takes time. Working retail, working with the public, you get all kinds of personalities. You know, a lot of those is the everyday personalities, you know, people that you meet when shopping. But then when you get into a professional environment, then you have other types of relationships that you build with your clients, especially if they're attorneys or doctors or, you know, people who have, how do I say, great, not great education, but great responsibilities. So the way that you talk to someone in a retail environment is of course different from the way that you speak to someone in a professional environment. So everything that I've learned over the years has helped me to adapt to the different situations. So
You're like a chameleon now, like a
you
skilled
have to be.
chameleon. Yeah. And that's the thing too that we're focusing on this class. It's like you change your tone, your body language, your vocabulary, your words, your phrases, depending on who your audience is, right? Who you're directing that
Yes.
toward. Hmm. So
So
yeah,
it's, you know, all these different elements come together, first of all, to make you who you are, but to help make you successful in what you want to do.
yeah. Eva, so with, you know, like having such a wealth of experiences, what is like a challenge you face during these, you know, job applications and interview processes? Because a lot of my students can feel discouraged. They're like, teacher, I've been sending out resume after resume and I haven't heard back. And I always tell them it's a numbers game. But what
It
advice
is.
do you have?
So, you know, you really can't stress over that. You know, there are many reasons why your application is not responded to. A lot of people don't have the courtesy to respond to an application. I'm one of those that even if you tell me no, that's fine. Just tell me no. Don't leave me hanging. But sadly, that does not happen, especially now because with positions, you get hundreds of applications,
Yeah.
you know, and in the old days, the way to get a job was, oh, you know, write a letter or go in and meet someone and there you go, you have a job. Now you're competing against everyone. The internet, although is helpful, it can be a little challenging too because everybody's doing the same thing. So what you have to do is to work hard and do your best to shine during the interview. Don't let that intimidate you. Even if they tell you no, it's basically about a fit. You're looking to see if you fit with what they're offering, and they're looking to see if you fit with what they have. If that fit doesn't work, then either you're not going to be happy or they're not going to be happy.
Yeah.
So it takes time. Whatever you do, don't be discouraged. Don't take it personally. Just keep trying and you'll be successful. It's like every no will bring you closer to that yes.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. Like my students recently learned the word resilient. So it's like you always have to keep coming back and pushing forward no matter what.
Yeah.
Now, even
So you can either be defeated or you can show people, you know what, I'm fine and I will do what I need to do and I will get there.
I like it. I like that attitude.
Well, it
Even,
will show in your attitude too. You know, you can't
yeah,
go in being defeatist because they're going to say, well, who is this person? You know, but come in happy. If you come in confident, they'll go, you know what, I want him or her.
For you, like how do you represent yourself in an interview to show that, to express that, like through your body language and coming down to your outfit and like because first impressions are so crucial, they're so important. This is the only window you'll have to meet your potentially future employer, and that can cause a lot of pressure with students. Like I tell them, as remarkable and amazing as you are, if you don't perform well, if you don't have a good vibe with the person you're interviewing, chances are it's not going to go in your favor, right? So what tips would you have for my students to showcase, put their best foot forward?
Okay, well, First of all, remember, don't be discouraged, and do as much research as possible, because the more you know about the company, the better you can address their concerns and answer their questions. Understand their company, understand their product, talk to people, ask questions, because you don't know if you don't ask. You might want to work for this company, but then you find out, maybe the product or whatever that they're representing isn't quite what you had in mind. For example, it's like a long time ago, I wanted a certain car. It's like I had my heart set on getting this certain car until I drove it. And then I decided I don't want that car after all. So it's the same with the job interviewing process. It's just finding a fit. It's like, does it fit with what you want to do? And, will it work out in the end? Will it work out the best for everyone? If you take a job just to take a job and you are unhappy, nobody's going to be happy. And then you'll be looking for another job. So
true.
The other thing is, and I know this is going to sound funny, is anytime I got an interview, whether or not I was interested in the job, I would go on the interview. I know you think of it as counterproductive, wasting their time, wasting my time, but in reality, I was practicing my interviewing.
Yeah.
So when that perfect opportunity came up, I would be confident. Interviews would not be scary anymore. So it's not a bad thing. You can also ask people to give you a mock interview. In other words, pretend you are hiring me and see how I would answer the questions, and then give me tips or feedback on how you think I should answer or how I'm presenting myself. So there's a lot of things that you can do to put things in your favor. Also, remember that an interview is just a business conversation. That's where information is exchanged. You're both trying to find out, again, if you will fit with each other. Just think of it as dating, but on a professional level. It's basically the same thing, right? It's like, would you work for me? Will I work for you? So
speed dating, yeah.
Exactly. And you know what? Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of the other person talking to you. Sure, they might have a fancy title, but you know what? It's just a title. That's not what makes the person.
Yeah.
The person, he's just like you and me. So, treat them with respect, speak with them nicely, have a smile. Remember to thank them, and especially remember to write your thank you notes.
That's an important point. So follow up the interview and write like a little email to appreciate, like to say that you appreciated their time and such, right?
Yes. As soon as the interview is over, send them an email. Not only the person that interviewed you, but whoever other people were there to interview you as well. And I know it's maybe going over the top, but a handwritten note wouldn't hurt either.
Wow, that's very personal.
Yes.
I like it.
Yeah. So, it's like immediately send an email and then, send out your note, which will take a few days to get them. But the purpose of that is it will keep you fresh in their minds.
That's true.
Another reason for that is if there was anything that you did not say during your interview that you want them to know, you can take that as another opportunity to say, oh, by the way, I would like to let you know this as well. And thank you for your time.
This might be a little obvious, but is there anything that you suggest like you should not do in an interview? I know you mentioned like this is speed dating, business talk, but in terms of like other formalities like clothing or like body language or anything of that sort, is there something that is like a big no-no for interviewees?
Yes, twiddling is not a good thing.
Yeah, like hands can be distracting, right?
Yes. Make sure don't wear heavy perfumes for women, no big jewelry. Just keep it simple and classy. If maybe you're going for an artsy position, maybe a more formal dress is not the way to go, but for, let's say, an office position, or just ask people, hey, what should I dress for the interview? Because you don't want to be wearing a suit and tie for a position, for like a retail sales position. I mean, just, you want to look like you can blend in.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. I remember when my boyfriend interviewed for the Amazon warehouse, he was the only one like in a suit, like a formal suit. Everyone else was just like in slacks, shorts, like a t-shirt. So he stuck out, but in a way it kind of worked to his favor because they saw that he was putting in effort, But yeah, it can rub people the wrong way though. That's true.
Right. But you know what, just make sure to make eye contact. In the old days, we'd shake hands. I guess you'd like arm bump now.
Yeah.
But, just find out what the culture is, if possible, what the work environment is. Some people do require you to dress up, but it never hurts to dress nicely. Make sure no wrinkles, make sure clean shaven. Of course, you have a fresh haircut. And smile and make eye contact. And that is, how do I say, a lot of people will be attracted to your smile more than anything.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's like anyone can learn to do a job. You just have to tell them or convince them that, what, I am the best person to do that job for you.
That's a good point. Eva, one thing that some of my students have inquired about was age discrimination. They've asked me, well, Caroline, my coworkers are telling me because of my age, I'm going to be dismissed in the application process. And what I told them was, it depends on the needs of the company. Truthfully, a lot of companies are hiring younger people because they're cheaper. But
Yes.
Are they going to stay there long term? Probably not. They're going to jump ship. They're going to go to another job, and that's expected. For someone that's more established, more experienced, most likely that the company will want to keep them long term because they had an investment financially and within their system and such, right?
Yeah.
One other thing you mentioned actually before we started the interview that I'd like to kind of circle back to is in your resume. What's like a key thing to include in your resume?
Accomplishments. Anything that you can put a number to, a percentage. I saved the company $5,000, by streamlining a process. I managed $1 million in sales. Things like that. People like numbers. People like to see that you're able to accomplish things, even if it does not concern what the position that you're applying for. I mean, make everything on your resume relevant to what you're applying for, but numbers and things that you have done or you have headed will let them know that, hey, you know what, this person can do stuff. And the age discrimination, yeah, okay, I do have to admit, sadly, it is out there, and I did fall into that. But don't let that discourage you. You know what? If they do not hire you, that's their loss. It's not your loss.
Well said. And
yeah.
The other thing for resumes is it's important to tailor the vocabulary, right? Like what you see in the job posting to make sure that your resume reflects the job post as accurately as possible, right?
Yes. So every resume that you do should be tailored to that job posting. So you take all the words that are mentioned in what they're looking for, and you use that as a guide to filling out or to making your resume for that position. I mean, you might have two positions for an office job that seem to be the same, but yet they're different descriptions. So you need to make sure that your description is in line with what they're asking for.
And I guess my last two questions for you, Eva, because I know you're busy, is within a company. So you're at a company that you feel like well established at, but some students are already at their desired jobs, but they're looking for ways to, be promoted. What advice do you have in that regard?
Well, find out what what they're looking for people to be promoted. Are there other job skills that you need? Is there other training that's available? A lot of companies will offer training. You just need to ask them, or if not, then you can do training on your own time. But whatever it is, if you're in that company, just find out, what do I need to go to the next level? A lot of times, if you don't ask, if you don't inquire, they're not going to know. You might be happy in your position and they might say, oh, he's happy there, he doesn't want to move up. But if you don't say anything, they won't know. So it doesn't hurt to ask. You know what? Even if you're in an established business, it never hurts to keep your eyes open, because you never know when opportunity might come. And the thing is, if you don't take that opportunity, somebody else is going to take it.
That's true. What are your favorite go-to? I know right now you're at your ideal job, but before, what were your go-to resources to look for jobs? Did you go to job fairs? Did you use LinkedIn, Indeed?
I actually found my current job through LinkedIn. So,
wow.
Right? I know you hear people say, oh no, that never happens, but actually it does. So, yeah, there are lots of resources. Just make sure that they're legit or legitimate, and never, ever, ever, and I've heard many people do this, but never, ever, ever pay someone else to do your resume. The reason being is, you know what you did. They don't know what you did. And if you interview someone who had someone else write the resume for them, during the interview process, if they question you about it, then you're going to go, I don't know how to answer that. So the best thing is, always ask other people how you should construct your resume, but you should always do it yourself. And there are tools online to help you. Also, there are great resources. I can send you a list if you like, of resources that people can use to do job searching with.
Yeah, in-house in my class, what I intend on doing is helping them with the resume process, the cover letter, and then our final is going to be a mock interview with me, and I'm going to be a tough boss. I'm going to try to intimidate them a little, just to get worst case scenario, just so that they're prepared for any situation. My last question for you, going back to different work personalities, what are 3 work personalities that best describe you?
3 work personalities. Well, you single words?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned you're very detail oriented.
You have to be.
Yeah.
I guess be your best. Do the best you can at everything you can. I mean, not to be a superstar and blow everyone out the water, but it's mainly at the end of the day that when you go home or you go to sleep, then you know that you did the best job possible. You might not be able to solve all the problems, but you tried your best. People with personalities, just don't let them get to you. Still be nice to them. See, I've worked with people who, for some unknown reason, are just not nice to me. And every morning I still say hello. And after 6 months, one of them came up to me and said, I've been mean to you every day. Why are you saying hello to me? Still.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, why not? The problem is basically with the other person, not with you.
Exactly.
So don't let anyone get you down. Just carry your head high and just be the best person possible. And people will see that. People will say, hey, you know what? I want to work with that person because they can do things and they have a great personality. Nobody wants to work with grumpy people, right?
So true. Yeah. But I mean, I think that's key, because we never know what kind of work environment you'll be exposed to. You'll find you'll meet amazing people, but then you might meet some that are a little bit more difficult, rough around the edges to work with. And so it's important just to kind of maintain that professionalism, be positive and nice, because other people will see that and they'll make you stand out as well, right?
Right. And no matter how bad everyone's situation is, sadly, somebody else has a situation that's even worse. So, if you think it's the end of the world, I'm never going to find a job, you will find a job. You just have to be patient. Sometimes opportunity will come when you least expect it. And sometimes there's a reason that you didn't get a certain job because there's another better job waiting for you. So just don't be discouraged. Just keep pushing on, and eventually you'll be in a very happy place.
Oh, well, Eva, thank you for all your positivity, your insights, and your time, because I know you're incredibly busy. So my class and I thank you so much.
Well, thank you for asking me to share my experience with you. I'm truly honored, and I wish everyone the best for a very successful job search. I know all of you will do well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Bye, Eva.
Thank you.